Zoom. And we have on Zoom Bob Marmer. Bob is our advancement officer for PJ Library. We have Rachel Berenson, who runs the PJ Library Initiative. And of course, our most honored guests, Harold Grinspoon, the founder of the Grinspoon Foundation, and Winnie Sandler Grinspoon, the president of the Grinspoon Foundation. And with that, I would like to turn it over to Lindsey Schwartz, who is a parent and a mother of children who benefit from our Orlando PJ Library program, to say just a few words. Oh, Lindsey.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Lindsey Schwartz. I'm a mom. Okay. Hi, I'm Lindsey Schwartz. I'm a mom, a wife, daughter, sister, friend, and PJ parent. I have two precious and sometimes mischievous little girls. Rachel's 4 years old, and Audrey, or as many of us call her Honey, is just about 3. From the very start of my adventure as a new mom, I knew how important it was to raise a Jewish family. I also knew that I wanted to expose my children to Judaism in an accessible and fun way that would allow Rachel and later Honey to connect to their heritage. I had heard about PJ Library from my cousins and was encouraged to enroll in Sheena's Village classes at the JCC. While I met many members of my village at Sheena's Village, PJ Library programs cultivated the friendships I had made at the JCC. Pre-COVID, PJ Library hosted an almost monthly activity at Lake Lily for small children and their caregivers to attend. It was at these programs that I was able to foster friendships with other moms, several of whom are some of my closest friends today. These friendships have grown to include our children, husbands, and even grandparents in our families. These relationships are exactly what I was looking for, building a Jewish friend group for my family. Many families at these PJ events were experiencing their first Jewish anything in the Orlando area. Several parents had moved here as young adults and had yet to make a connection to Jewish life. PJ Library was an answer for people who were looking to connect with other families raising a Jewish child. Over the years and throughout COVID, PJ Library continues to be a source of connection, excitement, meaning for young Jewish families in Orlando. PJ Library pops up at various locations throughout the Orlando area, covering a wide territory from Lake Mary to Lake Nona in order to meet the families where they are. Because of PJ Library, it is easier for families around town to participate in a meaningful Jewish experience with their child. At a time when many young families, for whatever reason, are opting not to have a membership at temples, PJ Library programming and PJ Library stories are critical to ensuring our Jewish faith. PJ Library also affords our children some really cool experiences. This Sunday, Orlando families, including my daughters, will have a chance to see a live performance at the Orlando Philharmonic. This is an annual program that is generously sponsored by the Von Brombergs and an event that we look forward to every year. PJ at the Philharmonic is an up-close and personal performance that is specifically tailored to PJ Library aged kids. Last year, PJ Library hosted an actual birthday party for Israel to celebrate Israel's 73rd birthday. Bubby and Papa took the girls to celebrate and came home with blue mouths from Israeli colored cupcakes full of energy and laughter. Because of PJ Library, my children got to experience a true Israeli style birthday party, different yet similar to what we experience here in the US. We have a friend whose son went on a tour of the Orlando Police Department with PJ Library in 2016. Even all these years later, he still recalls that day, every single detail. About a year after I started participating in PJ Library activities, I was asked by the then PJ Library coordinator to join the parent committee. Through this committee, I enjoyed being a part of creating special events we planned for the community. When Beth came to Orlando as the new PJ Library coordinator, we immediately connected, and she has since become one of my dearest friends. We have spent Shabbat together, our kids have spent Shabbat together, sweetly reciting the prayers and excited to be with each other. PJ Library is what brought us together. My girls also look forward to the books that come in the mail each month. What kid doesn't love getting their own envelope? Rachel loves to read her books at home and then brings the books to class the next day to share. Since she does go to the JCC, she often tells me that her friends receive the exact same books. Funny how that works, isn't it? The books are high quality and entertaining. Wait, It's Friday is a fan favorite in my house, and both of our girls were very quick to point out it's actually the dad of the book that makes the holla. So that was they pointed out. Because of PJ Library, we have built a wonderful library of Jewish books. We have beautiful and often silly conversations that are spurred by these books. PJ Library sends other fun and meaningful gifts throughout the year, like seed planting kits for Jewish Spot, the River Ride game for Passover, and the ever-loved Kids Kitchen Aprons. While we love the library in our home that PJ Library has created, it is important to remember that PJ Library is so much more than what comes in the mail. PJ Library is an experience, a community, a connection, and so much more. I am very happy that PJ Library is a part of our family's Jewish story. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. I think now we're going to turn it over to Rachel Beresin, and she will take it from here.
Good evening. Can everyone hear me all right? Wonderful. So I would like to invite everyone to take a moment and close your eyes. I know that's a very risky thing to invite you to do at this hour of the evening, but if you're comfortable, please indulge me and take a moment and close your eyes. And I would like you to take a moment and imagine, what does the future look like for your great-grandchildren? The Jewish future? What are the values, the traditions, the stories that you hope that they share? What are the ways that you hope they connect to other Jewish families, to their Jewish heritage, and to their community? Okay, you can open your eyes. Don't want anyone to fall asleep. It is now my honor to introduce our keynote speakers for the evening and share more about the incredible work the Harold Grinspoon Foundation is doing in partnership with the Greater Orlando Jewish community to strengthen Jewish life. So first, I'd like to introduce Harold Grinspoon. Harold Grinspoon is a real estate entrepreneur who applies his entrepreneurial spirit and his business acumen to philanthropy. He formed the Harold Grinspoon Foundation in 1991 to support the Jewish community, building Jewish identity, and strengthen Jewish life. Grounded in his values and vision for a strong Jewish future, the Harold Grinspoon Foundation launched the award-winning PJ Library program. This is the largest Jewish book gifting program in the world, and many other initiatives, including strengthening summer camps through our JCamp 180 program, and securing the financial future of Jewish organizations across North America through its Life and Legacy initiative. And now I'd like to introduce Winnie Sandler Grinspoon, who is the president of the Harold Grinspoon Foundation and the creator of the PJ Library program, which is now sending over 680,000 books a month to children across the globe. Winnie has been recognized for her leadership and most recently was named among the 50 most influential Jews of 2021 by the Jerusalem Post. We're going to start off tonight with sort of a fun question. Harold and Winnie. Harold, in job interviews, Harold is very fond of asking people to describe themselves in 5 words or less. So I'm going to invite both of you to describe yourselves to everyone in 5 words or less.
What happens if I fail the test?
You don't want to find out.
I would say, I am very privileged to be part of the tribe. I think being part of the tribe in my life personally, I would say helped me enrich my life immensely. I don't think I answered the question, but
You gave a statement that shares a lot about you, what's important to you. So thank you. That's wonderful. Winnie, would you like to describe yourself in 5 words or less?
Sure. I would say grateful. I feel so fortunate in so many ways. Curious. I feel purposeful. And I feel inspired.
Wonderful, thank you. So Harold, you are a self-made man, and you often say that you worked hard to make money and you work hard to give it away. As both a real estate man and a philanthropist, return on investment, ROI, is essential to you. How do you measure ROI in your philanthropy?
Thanks, Rachel. First, I want to thank this crowd of marvelous people for being here. It's an absolute pleasure. And for all of you who have used your smarts to get out of the sub-zero weather of New England, congratulations. I guess it's been always a part of me. I first should say I'm very frugal. You've all heard the expression, a penny saved is a penny earned. Well, that has always helped me in my business, in my philanthropy. I want to know where I invest my money, and especially today's challenging ages, is going to do a great return on my investment. Perhaps I could talk to you about that later on.
Okay, sounds great. So the next question is, you have been very public about signing the Buffett Gates Giving Pledge. You shared your incredible commitment that 95% of your philanthropy will go to the Jewish community. Can you tell us about what inspired you to do that?
I'd be happy to. I think we Jews are living in a difficult time today. Going back 40 or 50 years ago, do you know that we had the responsibility of inviting every intermarried couple into the field of Judaism? We never visualized 40 or 50 years ago that intermarriage is going to be what it is today. It is, I find, and perhaps you two can join me in welcoming all those families and their children into our tribe. And that means education. And that means educating the children and the families. And that's where I feel my responsibility is with my partners, is education. And it's amazing that 240,000 books every month are going out to Jewish children in America in the form of education. And I feel absolutely great about that.
Wonderful. So Harold, you should feel really great about that because it's incredible. Initially, the Harold Grinspoon Foundation focused on supporting the Jewish community in Western Massachusetts. Can you take us through what moved you to extend your philanthropy further afield and ultimately globally?
Well, I started off buying a two-family house 64 years ago, and that snowballed into doing quite well. And with the help of my daughter-in-law and many, many other people, we came up with this concept of perhaps educating or giving the people an opportunity to receive these amazing books, and that and I was doing quite well in business. I had funds to open the doors up, so I decided I would move on. And lo and behold, she was sitting right beside me. So you tell them what happened.
Well, it's an amazing story. The idea for PJ Library was to be a book gifting program for our local community of Western Massachusetts. And we started with 200 kids, and then we told them to tell their friends. And we would keep a list of how many people were interested. And before we knew it, we had 700 kids asking for books. And so Harold said, well, wait a second, there's an idea here. There's a curiosity and an interest. And in fact, our local federation didn't even know that there were 700 kids in the age group in our neighborhood. So we realized that this was a way to reach families where they were, which wasn't necessarily in the places that the community was physically in, or in ways that wasn't serving the young families of our community. And so it so happened that Harold was listening to the radio, and he heard a story about Dolly Parton, who has a program called the Imagination Library that she started by gifting a book a month to any family who wanted it in Appalachia, where she grew up. And then she realized that it was something she could be doing elsewhere if she found partners. And so she partnered with others and brought her Imagination Library program across North America. And Harold called me and he said, I have an idea. Let's do a Jewish Imagination Library. Let's send a book a month to the home of children wherever they are, and let's find partners to do it with us so that we can give every family this gift. That's how it all began.
It's really an incredible story. And Winnie, can you share some of the other key flagship initiatives of the foundation?
Sure. So all of the programs of the Grinspoon Foundation are designed to support the Jewish community. We focus on experiences like Jewish summer camp. So we have a program we call J Camp 180, which supports over 100 Jewish overnight camps and day camps in North America. And we do it by a team of management consultants whose job it is to help camps become stronger organizations through strategic planning and board development and fundraising strategies. And then we often offer financial challenge grant incentives to camps to help raise necessary funds. It's been particularly important and meaningful work these past 2 years. The one in 2020, when summer camps shut down across North America and were unable to operate because of the pandemic, we stepped in significantly to help camps raise necessary funds to stay afloat, literally to stay afloat and not go bankrupt, and with thousands of other donors. And of course, COVID has a long tail, so we are still very much in that work and continue to be so, and look forward to doing more for camps. And we do work in a program called Life and Legacy, which perhaps your community is very familiar with, which is a program that focuses organizations on building endowments and through legacy gifts that people make through their estate planning, a gift in the future in your will. And we incentivize and train communities on how to do that, so that the Jewish organizations within their community make the time and put in the effort to build the endowment funds that they need to sustain themselves long into the future. We think about where our community would be if we had made this effort 50 years ago, and we've decided that we're going to do it today so that the community of 50 years from now looks different because of a concerted effort today. Those are some of our major programs.
Back to PJ Library. What do you think makes PJ Library so successful and valuable to families? And why do you believe that this program is so important to our Jewish future?
Harold,
We.
would you like to answer? Okay. Well, it's what that lovely mom said earlier this evening. I mean, she captured it so beautifully, which is that this is an amazing, easy way to bring the joy of Jewish living into your home and around your table and at all of your activities in the most seamless and natural way. Families are reading books to their children at bedtime, always. And the idea is to infuse Judaism into that special moment. It's kind of a really easy way to take your medicine, if you will, right? It's really like when you give somebody frosting to take their medicine. Like, you don't even know you're getting a Jewish education. If we called it Jewish education, you wouldn't go running toward it. But if we call it sweet bedtime stories, you actually realize that this is something beautiful and fun to engage in. And beyond what happens in your home, of course, is what happens in community. And that's where our structure is so important. We partner with federations across North America, as we do in Orlando, to make the program come alive. It's nice that there are books in families' homes and they're having these special moments. It's even nicer that they're finding one another in community right where they live and making their friend groups right at the beginning of their children's journeys. It's where the magic happens.
So in hearing about the incredible magic happening with the PJ Library program, can you talk about what inspired you to put money towards incentivizing endowment for PJ Library? And Harold, what are some of your hopes for the future of PJ Library?
I think that children receiving Jewish books is here for forever. I say that knowing there is no such thing as forever. But I think the concept of nurturing a relationship with your beautiful child or grandchild in the quietness as you read a story to them is an amazing experience. And I can't visualize this coming in Sabi. We are very privileged to be members of this tribe, and we want that process to go on. I think it really helps people to know I'm going to put some money in if you put money in. And fortunately, I'm in the real estate business, and I've done quite well. And you might be interested to know the state that holds my biggest investments is Florida. Over half of my investments are scattered all over Florida. A town called Orlando is a very big place. You go online and see all the property we own in Orlando. But this is a very, very expensive project. It has a huge budget. And anything I can do to stimulate you to make this happen in the future, I love to do that.
Wonderful. And Winnie, as you move the foundation forward, can you share some of your hopes for the future?
Well, our hopes are that we can truly make PJ Library available for any child in the world who is interested. We are currently providing the program in more than 30 countries. It's an international program now. We are distributing books in 7 different languages. And that's not counting another program that we do in Israel, which is in Arabic for the Arab-speaking children, so that we can support all of the kids of Israel in a book and literacy program. So There are still places we have not entered, countries we haven't entered, languages we haven't started producing books in. So that is a goal of ours, to be wherever families are. That happens also to mean that across North America, there's plenty of room to grow. We are currently in about 30% of homes in what we think is the eligible market of families who would be interested in the kind of product that we put out. So even though our numbers are tremendous, they are still scratching the surface. We have a lot more to do. The next concentric circle of families that we'll reach are those that are harder to reach. In other words, less connected. So it's going to take more effort on our parts to get the word out to those families and to share what we have to offer. So we have a ways to go in terms of going beyond the families that we know are already connected and that we can easily find. We also know from word of mouth is our best form of marketing, and that the reason when we find people who don't know about us and why they haven't signed up, the answer is because we didn't know about it. So we don't have to convince people so hard. We just sort of find people. So that's a goal. Another goal is that we have the richest and most gorgeous and engaging canon of Jewish literature that we can produce. We want all of our books to be kind of amazing, award-winning, the books that you just can't bear to give away after your child has outgrown them, the books you want to keep for your grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And so we are investing heavily in content creation. We want more authors writing incredible books that people just love and adore and want to go back to again and again. We want to be in all the different forms of media that families look to. So we used to give out music CDs once a year, and it's great to give out Jewish music, and we love hearing about how people love them, but CDs have gone the way of the past. So people started, telling us, well, thanks, but I don't know how to play this anymore. We don't have CD players. Cars don't make them anymore. So we've had to adapt. And so we now, we have podcasts. We have storytelling podcasts that you can download from your phone. We have streaming. We're on various streaming services with Jewish music and distributing playlists. So we have to continue to evolve the program and be accessible to families in all the different ways that work for families. So we want to keep innovating and creating. Look, we want to incentivize families to get together more. We want, COVID notwithstanding, we want people to form friend groups. We often hear about stories of how the people you met when your babies were born and your mommy and me play groups and your, dad and me Sunday morning groups are the people who became your chevra, your community. They were there for you in good times and bad. And we have a program that we started launching that we'll go back to after pandemic, where we, make opportunities and support opportunities for people to get together in small groups as well as in big groups through the great events and activities that our Federation partners are funding. So there's a lot we see on the horizon, but the overall goal is to take Harold's vision for this program, which started as an idea, and continue to enhance it and grow it and improve it and make it something that is so beloved in our community that it goes on for generations to come.
Thank you. So we have a few minutes now to open it up for questions. I think Carol will be our eyes in the room, and I'm going to switch my Zoom to grid view to see everyone. If anyone on Zoom has a question, just raise your hand. And Carol, I'll let you help us find people in the room who might have a question. Any questions in the room?
Yes. Winnie,
Yes.
can you talk something about the other programs that are part of, like the tzedakah boxes, like the blessing of our children, like the cookbooks, some of the ancillary things that are beyond the books, but are just wonderful for us.
Sure. Thanks for that question. So often there are surprises in the envelope, and they run, as Harold says, we have free space in the envelope. Let's get creative and fill it with something that's flat. So the tzedakah box is an exception, but most of the things that we do are sort of like that surprise you'd find in your Cracker Jacks box, something that a child will open the envelope and be surprised by. So in each of the things that we do, we try to fill it in the envelope, but also make it a deep but quick learning experience for families. So we recently did something where we taught children about the lunar cycle and why Jewish holidays fall when they do. And we've done kits to teach the blessings of your children on Friday night. We have done, we've taught families with luggage tags that there's a prayer to say as you set off on a journey. So our team gets very creative about these ancillary in the envelope experiences. Beyond those, we've started working on, we tested the first ever PJ Library Haggadah a couple of years ago, and it was wildly popular. And so we have given out hundreds of thousands of Haggadot sets. We give them out in sets of 6 to any family who wants them for free in PJ Library. And we do it in sets of 6, so it's actually usable at a Seder. And so you have extra copies for everyone at your table. Those were so popular that we've launched into a series of really holiday guides, how-to guides. So we've done a series on the fall holidays, how to celebrate around the fall holidays with your young children at home. And now we're testing out a guide for the winter holidays and a guide for Shabbat. So these are some of the innovative projects beyond the podcasts that I mentioned earlier that are enhancing and deepening the program.
Yes, either one of you can answer the question. How was Orlando selected as one of the 9 communities to receive some matching funds from your foundation?
That's actually a Rachel Berzin question.
Yes, I will answer that question. So we met with over 20 communities across North America to talk about this opportunity. And we were so impressed with the leadership in this community. We were so impressed by the number of children this PJ Library program was reaching and by the enthusiasm and by the support of this community. And so we were really excited to invite Orlando to be one of the 9 participating communities. And I hope you can see here by the event tonight that we were definitely right in selecting this group. It's really an incredible, incredible group. Other questions?
Yes.
Hi, Winnie.
I think I've heard it said that when families maybe start to learn about PJ Library, as Lindsey mentioned, they have no other connection in the Jewish community, and that is their only connection. But I think I've heard some statistics actually that go on to say that these families end up getting involved in their communities. And this is a springboard for further involvement, which is certainly what all of us would hope would happen. So could you speak to your experience with that?
Sure. So we do a large survey of families across North America every 3 years. And we ask questions just like you've posed, did involvement in PJ Library move you to? And we ask all sorts of questions in our survey. And what we find, and we found every 3 years, is that even no matter where you are to start, being involved in the process has moved you to try a new tradition in your home, to learn about something you didn't learn before, but also to take an action to send your kid to Jewish preschool or consider summer camp for your kids. Another thing that we do, I mentioned we do a lot of work in the summer camp space, is that we are linking the progression of families through PJ Library who then have kids who are camp ready age to consider overnight camp. And we have incentivized through the PJ Library Network families to consider Jewish overnight camp for their children through financial incentives. So kids will get an envelope in the mail with a big sticker in October that says, interested in trying Jewish summer camp? Up to $1,000 available. And so we have found partners to join us to create those financial incentives. And so then that helps link and expose families who are coming through PJ Library to the next great Jewish experience. Same with preschools, etc. So it's a linkage. It's a linkage to the next thing.
We have time for one more question.
We have a question from Zoom, which is, how are the books and topics selected, and are they picking library-specific authors?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
How are the books and topics selected, and are you picking library-specific authors?
Harold, do you want me to take that?
You have.
Okay,
You have.
sure. So we have an independent book selection committee, and you can go on our website and you can see the framework that they use to select books, which is about Jewish values, Jewish holidays and traditions, Jewish life cycle events. And within it, the committee kind of has a large rubric to follow as they select books. They are thinking about many things, about what that same family has received in the 6 months and year before. So are the books showing different experiences, different holidays? Do families look different, right? I love that in one of the books that Lindsey mentioned, the dad was the challah baker, right? We think about those things. We think about representation and we want families to see not only themselves in the books, but experience the broad Jewish community in what they're seeing. So we care about a lot of things as we are selecting through books. We incentivize authors as well. So the bulk of what we select comes from established publishers, and we have relationships with publishers, and we put out calls to publishers. We will say, we are really low on Passover books for 3-year-olds. We'd love to see what you can come up with. And they put out the word. But even with our best efforts with publishers, there are gaps that no major publisher is going to fill because there just aren't enough, there's just not enough interest in trade for a book about Tu B'Shvat, let's say, or, Tashlich. It's got to be, so we've started our own publishing arm. We call it PJ Publishing, and we're using it to bring to market to the PJ market books that would not be made otherwise. So we have a whole process. If you know of people who are authors who write books and want to submit a manuscript, you can do it right on our website. We get thousands of applications and manuscripts a year. And we looked at the rate of selection the other day and determined that it's harder to get a book into PJ Library than it is to get your kid into Harvard. So I share that with you because it sounds easier than it is to write a children's book, but we have a very picky committee who has professional standards, if you will.
Thank you. So thank you, Harold and Winnie. For so many families, PJ Library is one of their very first choices, as we heard tonight. This choice inspires other Jewish choices and meaningful Jewish connections. To ensure that children and families will be able to continue receiving PJ Library far into the future, we launched this endowment initiative that offers matching funds for communities to create an endowment fund for PJ Library in your community. We offer matching funds for both cash endowment gifts today and legacy gifts for the future. The Harold Grinspoon Foundation, as I mentioned before, met with many communities across the country, and we are so proud that Orlando has been selected as one of the 9 participating communities. This community is part of 7 that are in the US and 2 in Canada. This is a very special community. You should also know that Orlando is the very first community to hold an event like this. So you are trailblazing the path for other communities. I would now like to turn it over to Phyllis and Barbara to share your commitments to the PJ Library Endowment Initiative. You and this community are such an incredible inspiration.
Okay, so I'll go first. And what we're giving should not influence you because we're all at different levels, but we all have Jewish hearts. And I know that whatever you eventually will give, it comes from your heart to ensure that we have a future. So this is my gift, not Burt's gift. He'll do his own business. We all know Burt. He'll take care of his own giving. But for me, it's so important. I saw what these books did for my grandson, Ben, who didn't have a lot of Jewish education. And he used to love getting the books. And so that touched my heart so much. So for me personally, for the next 2 years, I will give $5,000 a year for the next 2 years. And because I want to touch lives after I'm gone, I will leave $100,000 in a will, in my will or in my estate, so that in years to come, children can still get books. Abby, your children and your grandchildren, Abby is like a daughter of mine, it will be there for them as well. So I'm very honored to be able to do this. And hopefully it'll leave a mark on children in the future. So that's what I'm doing. Burt, you can talk for yourself.
He's gonna match that gift.
I'll speak later, but let Phyllis discuss.
All right, so Ed and I have been involved with PJ Library for some years now. And we have made significant contributions up until now. But I too have a son who lives in the hinterlands, and those grandchildren, the only thing Jewish are the PJ Library books that they get. There is nothing else. But we are so impressed with the quality of the program, and I think that is what really reaches us. The commitment that the Grinspoon Foundation has made, and the commitment and the level of care that they do, that Ed and I have decided that we're going to do a $25,000 gift to the cash, the part that will be matched in the next year. We will do that. And then from our, when we're gone, from our wills, we're each going to leave $100,000. So that's what we've decided to do. Yeah.
Okay, so my lovely wife has put me on the spot. I just wanted to mention, so there, right there is $300,000. We have other gifts that are also lined up, and those folks can speak for themselves. So I wanted to say, as a retired CPA, there are easy ways to do this. When we're talking about legacy gifts, you don't necessarily have to go and run to your attorney. We don't want to take any business away from attorneys who do estate planning. But at the same time, it's so easy to go to your administrator from your IRA and just designate the community foundation as a beneficiary of your IRA. That solves a lot of problems. Number one, it gets the money to the right place. Number two, it saves on taxes because that IRA money would eventually be taxed to you or to your family. And so by giving that money to charity, 100% of all the money that goes will escape taxation. So that's really doing more than you were doing before, depending upon your tax bracket. it's probably a 25, 33, or 39% increase in the amount of gift that you can give. And all it is signing a designation of beneficiary with your stockbroker or the administrator of your IRA, and boom, it's done. And for that, we will also get some matching funds from the Grinspoon Foundation. So we will be contacting everybody who's here, not tonight, but we will be contacting you to discuss if you like the program, if you understand the program. The biggest thing we had for tonight was education, to understand what the program is, what's involved, to see how meaningful it is, not only to those people in Orlando, but in the world, that this is a fabulous program. We're one of the 9 communities selected to be part of this matching grant, and we're so proud of it. And this is in addition to the Life and Legacy program that the Grinspoon Foundation has sponsored for many years and has been fantastically successful with our top foundation. So to that, Winnie and Harold, thank you so much for everything that you do. You have made an enormous impact. We get a great bang for every buck that you put into this, and we really, really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say one other thing. I hope, Winnie, that you and Harold will be proud of us, that Orlando will make you so proud that you chose us. We're like the chosen group, right? The chosen people. But for us in this community, it is such an honor to meet both of you and to be chosen by you guys. You could have chosen anybody, but you saw something in Orlando that was very special. And we are just so honored, and we will make you proud, I promise. We will raise wonderful money for generations to come. So thank you to both of you. Thank you.
There is one other thing I did want to mention. The goal of Barbara and Phyllis and Ed and myself was to say, you know what, if we could raise $200 or $2 million into the foundation, that could make the Orlando PJ Library program self-sustaining. The income that would come off of that would match about the $100,000 budget that we currently have from the Federation to sponsor all of these books. And so our goal is to raise $2 million, of which we already have commitments of $500,000. That's through the legacy program, plus the current gifts. So keep that in mind as we go forward. We're already 25% to getting our goal, and the program has just started. And again, this is for education. People like to give to things that give a good bang for your buck and know where your money is going. And we think that this is a great opportunity. There's enormous wealth in this community. And all we need to do is give people the reason to give and the understanding of what they're giving to. And I think they'll open up their pocketbooks.
I want to just say thank you to Rachel for all the support that you have given us, Bob, also for helping us plan this evening and provide material. We have material we have books to show you. We have lots of things for you. So thank you all. And again, Winnie and Harold, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us. This has been just so inspiring. First of all, it's great to see our friends in Orlando again, and to meet all of you. And really, this is a community partnership celebration. This happens because people around the world are doing this together. So thank you for your partnership on this, and we are honored to be here this evening and to be in this conversation with you today and into the future. Harold, would you like the last word?
Yeah, thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here with you. I am so proud to share this time with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We will have to sign off now, but we're going to keep the Zoom going. We have a couple more things to say. So thank you. Hope to see you in Aspen. Thank you. So we're going to sign off. A couple of things. As Burt mentioned, we did some prior fundraising from some of the people that were here. So we had probably $525,000 to $550,000 raised. Burks have made a cash gift, the Katzens have made some gifts. And, we'll do some follow-up. With the things that Winnie mentioned, we have them scattered around the house, like the prayer for your children, the cookbooks, things like that. And you go in the kitchen on the desk and on the counter. We have a bunch of things, pick them up and use them. Here's the tzedakah box. Most of your kids probably already got them. A lot of the things that they send us come in the envelope. So you just open it up and it pops open. We have some gifts where you would have some sort of swag bags that have another book in it. Notice the book that we're getting now is different than the Carol Tree book that you got in the mail. The books that we have here are the ones they're using now, where the inside flap discusses with the family, how should you use this book? What are the lessons we're trying to teach? And so we have those there. We also have Haggadahs for you. If you haven't seen the PJ Library Haggadah, it's amazing. It's the one our family uses now. And I think we have one, I don't know how many we'll bring, but if we have one for everybody, we can either take a Haggadah or a bag or whatever we have left. So the party has just begun. Phyllis and Barbara have more food than we were able to eat before. We had the time constraint that Harold and Winnie had to be on a certain time and be off a certain time. So if anybody has any questions for the Zoom or here in the room, the form that we use, some of you are very familiar with it. It's the same as the Life and Legacy form. And the incentives that they talked about are anything in a legacy gift. When someone from Orlando signs one of the forms that says, I want to do a legacy gift, they're going to send us $1,000 for our PJ Library account. When you sign the second form that says, this is how I'm going to do it, life insurance, IRA, whatever it is, another $1,000. If we get 36 for number one, and 12 or for number two, we're going to get another $10,000. So it's about $80,000 or so. What they don't always say, but it's in the background, is they're trying to incentivize us so that in the future, we won't have to raise money for things. It'll all be there in the down. In the cash part of it, when we give cash right now, that is between now and March of 2023, it's a 2-year program, we will get started. The Grinspoon Foundation will match 25%. So if somebody gives $1,000, Grinspoon will put in $250. They're going to hold that up in the Grinspoon Foundation, and every year they're going to give us the proceeds from that. So Harold and Winnie are doing everything they can to kick us and get us moving. So we think it's a fabulous program. Phyllis and I are pleased to be able to go to Aspen for 2 of the meetings. Fabulous people there. And I think we're doing a great job. Beth and Stephanie are doing a great job now. We're giving out 1,500 books each month in Orlando. We've given out more than 75,000.
Yeah, we're probably there now. Yeah.
So this is a program that our kids are getting. And as our grandkids in Colorado get it, you can get them all over the world. So thank you for coming. This was a bit of an experiment to see if we could get people out on a Thursday night. And we really appreciate everybody showing up and the amazing job that Phyllis and Barbara.
I want to take a minute just to thank Phyllis and Barbara for their spread, and of course Phyllis and Ed for hosting this home with that food. If you haven't had, please take a look and enjoy it, and thank you.
So that is our pleasure. So the dessert, please do not leave without having some dessert because you don't want to take it home. And there are some little bags that if you don't want to eat it here, there's some individual bags. I made some things, you can take those home as well.
And please look at the materials.
Yeah. Again, you should be so proud of yourselves
for being here tonight. Thank you. I mean, I'm just like blown away to see you here, and we're so proud that you chose to spend your time to be here.
Takes everybody.
It
It
does.
takes a village.
It
Let
does.
us, and here we are.
I know. And I'm telling you the truth. When we talked about it, we said, okay, so we'll get 10 people. And there were 20 people here and still 15 on Zoom, that you can still see. It's just amazing. So give yourselves a hand, guys. Thank you. Good job. And come grab some food, right? Some grab some dessert. Thank you. Thank you. Exactly. We're gonna be calling.
Yeah.
And this is